Hello Motor Rider World fans, and welcome to another Bike Guru segment here. We're at Bike Tyre Warehouse out in Midrand, and I don't have Bruce with me this time. I don't have the Bike Tyre Guru with me, but I've got, apparently, I'm told, the BMW GS Guru. John Harris has joined me here to talk about a tyre that we'll get to in a second. But John, just quickly introduce yourself. I hear that you're the man when it comes to BMW GS in South Africa.
Thanks, Rob. I think a very humbling opening for you, but or from you. But so I started off on superbikes like most people do because they look nice.
It's the greatest
you know?
thing in the world.
Yeah, they look very nice and they go fast in a straight line. But at some point, I was doing a bit of a stunt show in 2010, and one of the country tracks instructors actually approached me and said, do you really want to learn to ride a bike properly? Okay. So I ended up going on some of the off-road courses with an instructor called Stefan Boshoff, and in time I sort of worked my way through the ranks, and I ended up being fortunate enough to represent South Africa in the GS Trophy in 2016. It's a team event, and South Africa was fortunate enough to win there. When I came back, continued to do a couple of courses through country tracks, and later on I became an instructor there. So very involved in the community and very humbled to be able to share my knowledge with some of the up-and-coming riders.
Okay, so this man, basically what he does is he looks for the most terrifying terrain in the world, and he points his GS there and he goes. So while we've got him here today is Batt have just released their new X Terrain competition tyre. We've had one or two guys tell us about how amazing this tyre is, but the true test was going to come when we gave this man here a couple of sets of those tyres. Now John, you've taken the tyre and you've actually used it in two different applications. Tell us, you grabbed a set of tyres, you were told to go boss, tell us what you think. Tell us about the applications that you used the new Batt X Terrain with.
Great, so I'll start off with our first trip. I loaded Bruce put the tyre for me on the 1250GS. I have a 1250GS Adventure, and we set out to the Northern Cape. So every second year we do a trip, where we toughen it up a little bit. So we put our own camping equipment on, our own food, bully beef, we a couple of braai grids, fuel, water, everything. So we're self-sufficient. And normally we go to very remote areas such as Angola or Namibia. Okay. But because of the COVID tests and the ever-changing, regulations around it, it got a little bit risky. You don't want to get stuck outside of the borders of South Africa in some area with people you don't know, because if you don't have COVID, you'll have COVID when you get out of your...
and then you can't travel and go anywhere. And
Exactly. So we set off, and the plan was to basically follow the Eco 4x4 trail next to the Orange River, and then we did a big section of the Bushmanland area, the Richtersveld, and and then we sort of headed back. So any case, we loaded the bikes on trailers, and whenever you see an adventure bike on the trailer, don't necessarily think the people can't ride. We just sort of load it up so we can get to the real terrain, and the new terrain as soon as possible. So the first day we headed out. We had about half a day's riding. So we had to tow to Kakamas. There we offloaded, the bikes, and we loaded up. And we started riding. And soon before long, maybe an hour and a half into the ride, we were in deep sand, so,
my favorite.
So lovely, what made the sand very special was the fact that there were lurkers that you couldn't see within the sand. So probably 10-15 minutes into the ride, most of the riders had a little side stand incident. And, we soon realized that, as and when you have to pick up this bike, it's probably good to call a friend, otherwise,
definitely.
You need to preserve your energy. So I think my first note on the tyre was it's an extremely good sand tyre.
Okay.
So I think the tread pattern works very, very well.
Scoops it up.
Yeah, it scoops it up, and it forces the front wheel through the spaghetti lines that are made by the other bikes. So on that day I was sort of sweeping towards the back, and it was a really fun tyre to ride. We after that, we set up camp next to the Orange River. We had some vacuum packed steaks, and the next day we officially started with the Eco 4x4 trail. So on the trail, you know, a lot of sand. The sand varied, you know, from deep to very deep.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so and
never nice.
yeah,
Just
never
deep to
nice.
very deep.
So a lot of fun, and we you know, we had these rocky hill climbs, you know, and the Batt tyre in the rocky conditions really held up very, very well. You know, it allowed me to navigate with the luggage, you know,
Yes,
through
yes.
the various areas without problem, you know, and we made it more or less to Fields Drift that evening. A lot of sand, a lot of rock. The following day we rode off to Steinkopf on a twin track sandy road. As I've said, you know, the tyre performed very well in the sand, and there the road started to, you know, to sort of open up,
Okay,
you know.
okay.
So here we could really test the tyres on, let's call it hard packed, you know, normal wide
Yes,
open
yes.
gravel roads.
Yes, yes.
I had my first puncture on the day. I think I nicked a bit of a lurker, you know, with the rear tyre.
Okay.
And there I started to wonder if the durability, you know,
Okay,
of the
yes.
tyre would be questionable.
Yes, yes.
But you have to consider the fact that, you know, 35 kilograms, you know,
Yes, you're fully
1250
loaded.
GS,
Yeah.
and we're riding at speeds that's questionable to most
I was
adventure
gonna
riders.
say,
Yeah.
a rider with a happy trigger throttle.
Yeah. So in any case, finished the day, and then the last official riding day, you know, we had long sections of open, straight gravel roads. I mean, on those roads, you can turn the throttle on a 1250 to the end stop, cable tie it, and just
And
leave
just
it,
go.
and it would just, you know, purr all the way through. On that day, I managed to destroy the sidewall on the
Okay.
tyre to the extent that I had to put a tube in. You know, but I think after speaking to Bruce when I came back, you know, about the tyre, I asked about the speed rating and
Yes,
stuff.
yes.
And I think, you know, speed ratings are there for a reason.
Yes,
So
definitely.
on that specific day, I was going north of the speed rating for extended periods of time,
Okay.
not for short bursts,
No,
you know.
long, like you said,
Yeah,
stretch.
yeah. So you've got all your luggage. I mean, you're going 10, 20 minutes over that speed rating, you know, and ultimately you hit a lurker and it will destroy,
yes.
you know, the tyre. So that was my experience on the 1250. I think it's good value for money. You know, Bruce have spoken a little bit to me about the, you know, the price point of the
Yes.
tyre. It's
a big
definitely lasting me longer than what my original tyres that I used to use, you know.
Okay.
So my normal go-to tyre, you know, I get about 2,000 kilometers from. I've done 2,000 on this Batt X Terrain, and there was a lot of life left bar the sidewall.
Yes.
So you know, from a value for money point of view, you know, it's a very, very good tyre. And taking into consideration that we were heavily loaded,
Yes.
and you know, we didn't obey to the speed rating
you
on
were
the
doing,
tyre,
yes.
you know, it actually lasted very, very well. Will I use it? Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, for all my South African trips, there's no reason not to use it.
Okay.
If I do go to a very remote area such as
Longer
Angola,
distance, yes.
I'd probably opt for a full steel belt
Yes,
tyre.
yes.
And the reason for that is not necessarily, you know, grip. It's
Okay.
actually the durability of
Sure,
the tyre.
Sure.